The Super Bowl was over. The Kansas City Chiefs had lost. The locker room was silent. No words, no excuses, just the weight of defeat pressing down on every player. Patrick Mahomes sat motionless, head down, lost in thought. And then, out of nowhere, Travis Kelce stood up and did something that left the entire team in shock. It wasn't just a speech. It wasn't just words. It was something no one expected. And it changed everything. What happened in that locker room after the loss is a story the cameras never captured. But today, we're revealing the full truth. Stay till the end, because this is the moment that proves why Travis Kelce is the heart of the Chiefs. The stadium was still electric with the echoes of cheers, but not for the Chiefs. The Eagles were celebrating. Confetti rained down in green and white, and the deafening sound of victory filled the air. On the other side, the Kansas City Chiefs stood still, frozen in the aftermath of a loss that cut deeper than most. Travis Kelce stood near the sideline, his helmet hanging loosely from his hand, his breathing uneven. His jersey clung to his skin, damp with sweat, dirt smeared across his arms. He glanced at the scoreboard one last time, the numbers glaring back at him, final and absolute. They had lost. Not just any game. The Super Bowl. He turned slightly and caught a glimpse of Patrick Mahomes, who stood motionless, staring at the ground. His grip tightened around his helmet. The weight of the entire season, of every practice, every sacrifice, settled on his shoulders. Around him, teammates moved in slow motion, some shaking hands with Eagles players, others walking toward the tunnel in silence. No words were exchanged, because what could be said in a moment like this? The walk back to the locker room was heavy. The air inside was thick with exhaustion and disappointment. Some players sat on the benches, heads hanging low, still in full gear. Others had their hands over their faces, deep in thought. The silence was suffocating. The only sounds were the distant cheers from the Eagles' locker room, laughter, celebration, everything the Chiefs had worked for, slipping through their fingers. Travis exhaled, dropping onto the wooden bench. He ran a hand through his damp hair, his jaw clenched so tight it hurt. He could feel the frustration, the self-doubt creeping in. They had fought like hell, and still, it hadn't been enough. He glanced across the room and saw Mahomes sitting with his elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. No one had seen Patrick this quiet before. Travis took a deep breath. This ain't the end. His voice was steady, cutting through the silence. Heads lifted, eyes flickered toward him. Mahomes looked up, his brows slightly furrowed. Travis stood, his muscles aching, but his conviction unwavering. I know it feels like everything just slipped away, but listen to me. We didn't lose tonight. We got beaten, yeah. But losing is when you let this define you. His voice carried through the room, reaching every player who sat drowning in their own thoughts. He took a step forward, eyes scanning the room, meeting familiar gazes. We built something this season, something bigger than one game. You think one bad night erases everything we've done? His tone was sharp, challenging. Hell no! Chris Jones, still gripping a towel in his hands, let out a breath. A few rookies exchanged glances. Slowly, the air shifted. Travis reached into his bag and pulled out a small stack of envelopes, tossing them onto the bench in the center of the room. Pick one up, he said simply. There was hesitation before one of the younger players, hands still shaking from the game, reached for an envelope and carefully opened it. His brows lifted as he read the words inside. What is this? Someone asked. Travis crossed his arms, a small smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. Letters, for each of you. the room fell into stunned silence. One by one, players picked up their envelopes, their eyes scanning the handwritten notes. Each message was different, personal. A reminder of why they mattered to this team, of the battles they had fought, the moments they had stepped up when it counted. A reminder that this wasn't the end. Mahomes turned his envelope over in his hands before opening it. His lips parted slightly as he read the words Travis had written for him. "You carried us through every storm this season," the note read. "One game doesn't change who you are or what you mean to this team." Mahomes let out a quiet chuckle, shaking his head. He looked up, finally meeting Travis's gaze. "You always gotta be extra, huh?" Travis grinned. "Damn right." The tension in the room softened. Shoulders relaxed. A few players chuckled, shaking their heads as they read their letters. The mood wasn't fixed, but the weight had shifted. And that was enough for now. After most of the team had left the locker room, Travis lingered behind. His body was sore, but his mind was restless. He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Hey, it's Trav. You still in town?" A pause, then a familiar voice on the other end. "Yeah, what's up?" Travis glanced around the empty locker room. "I need a favor." A few hours later, a handful of players found themselves sitting at a private dinner, invited by none other than Travis himself. No press, no cameras, just teammates, brothers, gathered around a table, talking, laughing, processing the night in their own way. Travis leaned back in his chair, watching as the guys shared stories, as the rookies found comfort in knowing this wasn't the end. He caught Mahomes' eye from across the table, and they exchanged a knowing nod. Because leadership wasn't just about hyping up a team before a big game. It was about holding them together after a loss. The next morning, the internet exploded. A leaked video captured part of Travis's locker room speech, his words igniting conversations across social media. This is why Travis Kelce is the heart of the Chiefs. True leaders show up when it matters most. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. This is what brotherhood looks like. Even NFL veterans like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady shared the story, praising Kelce's leadership. But the most meaningful response? A late-night tweet from one of the rookies, posted hours after the team dinner. "I walked into that locker room feeling broken. I walked out knowing we're coming back stronger than ever. Thanks, Trav." A few days later, as Travis sat at home scrolling through his phone, a message popped up. It was from Patrick. "Appreciate you, brother. Wouldn't want to go to war with anyone else." Travis smirked, shaking his head as he typed his response. "Let's run it back." Because championships aren't just won on the field. They're won in the moments that test you the most. If this story inspired you, hit the like button and comment, "Travis Kelce is a true leader." Let's spread more positivity and motivation together.